So F1 returns to Austin this week after a 1-month break. Lando Norris is now 52 points behind Max Verstappen, which doesn't seem a lot, but it's actually a pretty close gap. And judging from McLaren's performance to Red Bull, there's every possibility that Lando Norris is gonna win the championship. Now, who am I supporting on this title fight? Well, judging from my outfit, I think you can tell who I'm supporting. Okay, I know he supports PSV, but this is like the only Dutch thing I own. All the F1 merch I own are like Ferrari, Mercedes, Sauber. Yes, I have a Sauber shirt, believe it or not. I guess that. Signed by Alex Albon. I actually found this 2016 Red Bull shirt while looking through my F1 merch. It's a kid-size large though. Before we start today's video, only 8% of you guys are subscribed, so what are you waiting for? Go subscribe. If we reach 5,000 before the end of the year, I'll do a Jeremy Fragrance dance. So yeah, I think Max Verstappen will win the championship, and I also want him to win the championship. Now, I don't think he'll win just because I want him to win. Here's my reasons why. We have to roll back to the last 3 races: Monza, Baku, and Singapore. Red Bull were pretty poor in Monza and Baku, with their highest positions being a P5. Actually, could have been a P4 or a podium at Baku, but you know what happened. And no one's talking about this enough, but Verstappen got kind of lucky in Singapore, while Oscar Piastri had a terrible Sector 3 in Q3. And had he not had a bad Sector 3, we could be looking at a McLaren 1-2 instead of Norris and Verstappen. And no, we're not going to be talking about the Ferrari Q3 implosion. Please don't remind me. So if we base it purely on the last race in Singapore, it would look like that McLaren will win the championship. I also think I have to mention this as well. If Norris wins every race, gets fastest lap in all those races, and then wins every sprint race with Verstappen finishing P2, he will just win the championship by 1 point. So if you put it in that sense, he does need to put a lot of work, but then Red Bull won't be consistently finishing P2. Well, that's also if Norris wins every race for the rest of the season, which won't happen, and here's why. Ferrari had the overall better package at Baku. It's just that Leclerc's tires were blistering from all the dirty air in the middle sector. Because in the middle sector in Baku, straight line speed doesn't matter at all. It's purely downforce. And the McLaren has a better aerodynamical package than the Ferrari. But Ferrari have the better straight line speed. In fact, Leclerc was able to go alongside with Piastri 3 times, if I'm not wrong. And Piastri knew to hold the inside line because it's really tough to overtake on the outside at Baku. It's a 90-degree corner, and the exit of the corner is a wall, so there's really no room for you to overtake around the outside in Baku. Oh right, and McLaren's damage limitation strategy with Norris, I mean, that was a brilliant one-stop that he was able to pull off, and defending Verstappen the whole time as well, and also Alex Albon defending the both of them. So Red Bull didn't really take advantage of the situation where they could have brought in some big points against Norris. So with that knowledge that Ferrari have arguably the fastest car on the straights, the next race in Austin will suit Ferrari. Look at that. 2 long straights. And we could technically count it as 3 as well. And also mentioning this, Charles Leclerc got pole at Austin last year and immediately lost it in lap 1 to Lando Norris. But that's whatever. Ferrari didn't really have good race pace last year, but this year their race pace is better than last year. And to further support that Austin is great for cars with good straight line speed, just look at Verstappen's overtake on Hamilton in 2022. And it's also not just Austin that will suit the Ferrari. Again, 2 long straights in Mexico. They were also pretty strong in Mexico last year. Well, in qualifying at least. The less said about the race, the better. And after Mexico, we head to Las Vegas. Ferrari arguably had the strongest package in Las Vegas last year. Leclerc just got outnumbered at the end there. I think he would have won if Verstappen didn't do a 2016 on lap 1. So the next 3 races, pause. So it actually turns out that Brazil comes before Las Vegas. So I kind of make a mistake. Yeah, it's whatever. I still make the same points though. Just chronologically, the race schedule is wrong. So yeah, there you go. So as you can see, in the next 3 races, Ferrari looked like a genuine threat to McLaren's title charge. But then we head to the final 3, which are going to be purely McLaren tracks. It could be debatable that Interlagos is for Ferrari, because in Brazil 2021, we all know what Lewis Hamilton did with that GE90, and then the rest of the grid had whatever a Cessna 172 does. But last year in Brazil, Lando Norris finished on the podium in P2. You know what? Let's not talk about Ferrari last year in Brazil. I don't want to remember that. Yes, McLaren did start P7 and P10, but qualifying was cut short because of the storm that was coming. If I'm not wrong, it even destroyed a few grandstands. And in the sprint qualifying, Lando Norris actually qualified on pole. So I think it's a pretty good case for McLaren being stronger than Ferrari at Interlagos. And then in Qatar, Oscar Piastri got his first pole and his first win. Well, not really a win, but you know what I mean. And lastly, Abu Dhabi. In last year's race, Charles Leclerc finished P2, and the McLarens of Norris and Piastri were P5 and P6. But I can't really comment on this race because I haven't seen it. I don't even think I've seen the highlights. I was on holiday in Los Angeles. Here's me in the Lakers game. And 7 a.m. I'm not waking up that early. I thought Asian F1 fans have it bad, but okay, American F1 fans have it worse. So, after all that yap, what is my conclusion for the rest of the season? I think the next 3 races will be closely matched between Ferrari and McLaren, but I do see Ferrari winning 2 out of the 3 and McLaren maybe sneaking 1 in Mexico. I think it's probably going to be absolute McLaren domination in Brazil and Qatar, similar to what we saw in Zandvoort and Singapore. And once we get into Abu Dhabi, it could be a Ferrari track again, or I think that's one that Red Bull will actually win. I think Verstappen will close off the season with a win. Now, if you're asking me why I'm not specifically saying who will win those races, I'm just throwing out the team names, it's because Oscar is also up there on his day. Like, in Monza, there's always the possibility that Piastri will have the better result than Norris. But if you're in a situation where there's a driver splitting the two of them, you can't just do a position swap. You can't do papaya rules. What does papaya rules even mean? I still don't understand it. And I'm also just saying Ferrari when it's really just Charles Leclerc. But I do want to see Carlos win one more race with them. So I'm saying Ferrari. But at the end of the day, I still think Verstappen will win the championship. I'm going to put up a graph on F1 Point Sim I did. Let me know if you agree with this or if you find it stupid. I only predicted the top 8 because the midfield is like super hard to predict. You can't really predict the midfield. Now, I think there's also 2 really good points that I haven't brought up yet. Verstappen and Red Bull have been in this situation before. Not so long ago, in fact, 3 years ago to be specific, 2021, which I don't think I have to remind you was an infinitely more titanic and stressful and mentally challenging title fight than the one we have currently. This new age McLaren team hasn't been a championship fight. Their last championship fight was 2012, and the structure of the team is completely different to what it is now. You had 2 world champions in that team, unlike now where you have a decently experienced driver and a sophomore on your team. Well, Hamilton actually had the same amount of experience as Norris has right now, but he was already experienced in 3 title fights already, unlike Norris, who this is his first title fight. The only problem with McLaren in 2012 was the amount of inter-team issues, which you kind of see that now. But no, this was completely still Ron Dennis' team. It's not the Zach Brown team we know today. It was still Ron Dennis's baby. Well, not really. Okay, that sounded weird. Back then, F1 was their entire focus, and now they're focusing on other motorsports. Just a completely different way the team was run back then. It's not like how it is now, so you wouldn't know how they're gonna fare in a title fight. And Red Bull, as I said, 3 years ago, they were in a title fight. So that experience will be really crucial. Not just in F1, in other sports that I also watch, like in basketball, like in the NBA Finals this year. The reason why the Celtics won is that they had the NBA Finals experience while the Dallas Mavericks only had Kyrie Irving. Why do you think Real Madrid have been consistently winning the Champions League? That's right. Experience matters. And another point, other than that, is that Verstappen isn't stranger to winning in inferior machinery. Just take any of his wins from 2016 to 2019. Well, some of them Red Bull might have had the upper hand on the weekend, but I won't get too complicated in that. Compared to Lando Norris, where all of his race wins, he had the fastest car throughout the weekend. You could argue that Red Bull could have been faster at Miami, but race pace wise, I think McLaren definitely had the upper hand. So if Verstappen wins the championship by let's say 6 points, 5 points, they're going to look back at Hungaroring and think we shouldn't have swapped those places. Then they're going to also look back at Monza, we shouldn't have done a 2018 Ferrari. But these are good experiences, these are good lessons to be learned the next time they get into another title fight. Hell, they could be in one next year. But that also can't excuse all of Lando Norris's terrible starts this year. I think he's probably gotten it fixed, but yeah, it still doesn't excuse all the ones throughout the year. No, I look tired. It's 2:30 a.m. I have to get this video out by Friday. It's currently Saturday. Yeah, we have enough time. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoy these type of videos where I talk about the real life season or anything related to real life F1 instead of just the gaming ones. They don't really get that much views compared to the gaming ones, but I enjoy making these the most, so yeah. Let me know if there's any future topics you want me to cover next, and let me know if you want me to stop showing my face. I probably won't listen to you because it's my channel and I do whatever I want. So thanks for watching, and goodbye. You know what, let me just give you a preview for the next video.